Well, good afternoon. Great turnout. All right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. I'm going to give you guys fair notice right out to start that we are going to be videotaping today. And just for your own knowledge, that we started videotaping some of these classes, and thanks to Kim White, that we did our last one regarding information on escrow, information on title. And it's doing phenomenally well out there, so we're going to keep doing this and try to get them out there so you can look at them. You know, take your notes. Obviously, it's about the learning experience being here firsthand. If you got to revisit it, they're going to be out there for you all to see and take a hard look at it and see if there's anything there that you want to revisit and see, hey, that's that point I missed. We're going to change this up a little bit. So if we're kind of a little bit off the game, we decided that I wanted to try to change it up a little bit on this buyer conversion. So I decided we're going to have a panel. Panel looks pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
So I'm going to let them introduce themselves and let them know who they are and what their numbers are, what their goals are for like 2013. Let's start that. We'll go with Tracy. But literally, why I felt this was important, because yes, we can be up here and just kind of talking about the class and the importance of converting leads. But I thought we're going to change it up a little, and I'm sure some of you are going to relate more maybe to Tracy, to Elgin, to Sean. So we each kind of share our stories and what's going on in this marketplace. Because right now, I guess we'd all agree, no matter what level of success we've had, that this is a good word that we've been using lately, is an interesting market. Challenging, interesting, crazy. Never, you have a listing, you're getting 5, 6, 7, 10 offers, and you're trying to figure all that mess out. So it's been an interesting market. So I'm going to start with Tracy on the end. So please help us welcome Tracy Tofte.
Hi everyone, I'm Tracy. I'm on Patrick Lopez and Associates team, and our goal this year is 47 transactions. Out of those, for listings was 37 and buyers 9. That might change up a little bit this year, our numbers, but that was based on our numbers last year. And right now, as of today, we have 17 open escrows. So we're close to getting, we're actually at half of what we closed last year already.
All right. Very good. I think that there's a little. Next, Sir Elgin Walker.
Elgin Walker, I'm on Vau Walker's team. And as far as goals this year, and the numbers that I'm giving are just my goals. So this is not in addition to what Vau is doing or other things we're doing as trying to rebuild our team. So I'm looking at doing 40 closed transactions at an average sales price of about $275,000, which some of you know I also do stuff in the Antelope Valley and parts of the San Fernando Valley. I'm figuring my average percentage per deal will be 3%, because I do a lot where I keep 3.5 and give away 2.5. I'm looking at an average commission check of about $8,250. That'll leave me with a gross commission of $330,000. That's 3.3 deals per month. I'm looking to close 30 listings and 10 sales, and that's my personal stuff. That's nothing to do with anything else on the team. Since you're dropping escrow numbers, 13 deals on the contract currently.
Wow, great job.
Introduce yourself, sir. Thank you. My name is Sean Vau. Welcome, everybody. I'm with the Vau Group. And I wish I could be as detailed as these two are, but I'm not going to. But I am going to just state, the goal for 2013 for me is to get rid of the pressure and the stress of what we're all going through and make real estate a little more easier. So my goal is 2013 is starting to prepare for semi-retirement. And the only way you can do that is to actually run your business like a real company. It's the only way it's ever going to happen, guys, and that's what this panel is going to be for, is show you the numbers you guys saw here, and it intrigued you. How could they be so detailed? Is because they have a business plan. They're running it like a company. is the only way. So we're hoping that the only person you'll be mad at the end of the day is the excuse you used yesterday. So hopefully we have a little encouragement and enlightenment, because real estate to me is the most awesome industry in the world. Now you just got to just taste it and enjoy it.
See, and obviously here you see that everyone has kind of their own little flavor to it, but the point is, what's your flavor? Where are you going to do it? What are you going to choose to do with this game called real estate? Because I really call it a game that we decided to play in life. And doing this panel and trying to do it from this thing, everyone's going to have a little different life experience that they're going to bring on how they structured their team, how they convert their business. Because now what I want to try to accomplish today is, I sent out to a lot of you who RSVP'd early, like, to send me some questions. And I'm really going to kind of go from that perspective instead of me being up here just try to answer them by myself. But I'm going to ask these folks their questions on how they address them, how they deal with them in their business. And like I said, we are going to be videotaping this. So I'm going to try to kind of keep it as much of a tight time frame as we can. However, there are going to be some points where if I see you raise your hand and if I can work it in, I will get to your question. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, so we have literally, I believe it was like 11 questions. And if each question takes about 10 minutes, we'll be here for 2 hours. I know we have about an hour. Give an hour, hour and 10 minutes. I know, oh, Rob's raising over, they got 2 minutes. So we're going to try to keep it moving. Fair enough? Okay. So, having said that, there are a couple things that I want to try to focus on right off the bat. Because there's some specific principles that I feel you got to understand in real estate. And if you're going to fight these principles, I'm going to tell you, it's almost like, you know what? Don't fight it right now. I'm going to be completely blunt. If you're going to fight the principles, then maybe it's not the right fit for you, because this is a challenging market right now. You've already agreed with that. We stated at the beginning. So the first thing, and that's why we're all here, real estate, we all know it is a lead generation business. That's what it's about. So if we're going to fight that right from the get-go, you might want to find a different game. You might want to find a different game. Lead generation is a contact sport. You guys know what I mean by that? We're going to go in there, contact sport. Sometimes we're going to get the bloody noses. Sometimes we're going to feel a little queasy. Sometimes you're going to be in front of a panel, which you all should aspire to be on a panel like this and give your personal story. And understand that I know two of the 4 people here, we still get a little queasy. And you start calming down. It never changes. Because if you ever lose those butterflies in your gut, something's wrong. So understand it goes with the territory. Okay? Lead generation is prospecting and marketing. You guys know the difference? Okay? And we got some people here that he doesn't want me to call them out, so I won't. But literally door knocking. And I could tell you, probably hasn't door knocked in 10 years. Rob? 7 years. 7 years. But getting out of your comfort zone. Okay? Doing what it's going to take to succeed in this market. And understand, you must get out of your comfort zone. I mean, some of the stories you're going to hear, I mean, I'm not going to take their thunder, but seeing the Elgins and Sean's and Tracy and know what they're doing on a daily basis, that's why I thought this could be a very, very powerful meeting. And sharing something from Sean, I may say it a little differently, but it's not about going back, it's about going forward. And please, I don't, whatever happened to this point in time that you've had a challenge, just stop. And we're going forward. If you want to use the looking at a windshield, the windshield's so big. You know, it's for you to look forward. The mirror's that big. For you to look what's behind you. Let's not focus on what's behind us. Let's focus on what's in front of us, because that's where we all want to go. Fair enough? Okay. Forward. Onward. Okay? So I'm gonna go with some questions here, and we're gonna start out because now when we did send this out to get some questions from you folks, a lot of them went back to lead generation. So knowing that this is not so much a lead generation class as it is a lead conversion class, I'm going to start with that. So I'm just going to go off a couple that we got numerous times. So we're going to start with those, a couple of the lead generation, and then we will go more to the lead conversion. Okay. So I'm going to start this off. We're going to go Tracy. How often are you prospecting today? How often do you prospect?
We prospect 5 days a week. And we shoot for 3 hours a day.
5 days a week.
5 days
And
a week.
how often are you successful in doing it 5 days a week? If you had to guesstimate it, 25% of the time, 50% of the time, 75% of the time. If you had to put a number to it,
I would say 95% of the time.
95% of the time. Wow. And when you guys see me in this office, it's because she's prospecting. Okay. You're saying your hourly goal is 3 hours a day, right?
Yes.
So whom are you prospecting to?
I switch it up a little bit. We are currently prospecting for sale by owners, expireds, homeowners with equity, and then when I feel like I've taken enough abuse of getting hung up on and screamed at, I call our sphere of influence because it helps me feel like wanted. Yeah.
You guys can relate to that, right? I hear some giggles.
You got to have a little bit of a balance. Definitely.
Okay. Now I mentioned earlier as far as knowing the difference between marketing and prospecting.
Yes, there's a huge difference. And
You want to
yeah.
interject on that?
This is just my opinion, Elgin and Sean may feel differently. Marketing to me is just sending something in the mail or our full page ad in the real estate book, sending out a postcard, just listed, just sold, that's marketing. Prospecting is actually door knocking, making the phone calls, cold calling, calling your sphere of influence, asking for the business, open houses, all of that. It's the stuff, if you're like, oh, I don't want to do it, that's probably the prospecting.
Okay. You guys get something out of that a little bit? 3 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Can I add one more thing to that? That just started. We had our, I think it was over the holidays, I became obsessed with, and by the way, I think people with OCD make the best realtors, I'm just going to say that, but obsessed with Ferry, Mike Ferry. I read everything, got a hold of everything. Oscar and Taylor came into the office. They have experience with Mike Ferry. They gave me anything and everything that I wanted to look at, and that's all I studied was Mike Ferry. And then after that, we had our awards ceremony for this past year, and I was so incredibly depressed with coming in that our team came in 9th. I felt like, wow, that to me, that wasn't good enough. And I thought, okay, I got to do something different. I got to look at what we've been doing, and we got to do something different. So I made a commitment that we were going to lead generate 5 days a week and get to 3 hours a day as much as it was humanly possible. And that is why I feel our team has half of what we closed last year because of that small commitment and staying on it. And once you do it and you start, it's hard to stop.
Good job.
Okay, I'm going to move over here to Elgin. I'm going to start with you the same question as far as, like, again, how often are you prospect? How often do you prospect?
I prospect a minimum of 3 hours a day. I prospect between 8 and 11, Monday through Friday. And if I don't finish up certain things, I'll also do Saturday, sometimes in the morning. And I will also lead generate in the evenings or the afternoon, just based upon what I have going on. But my commitment is that first part of the morning, no matter what. And kind of like I have maybe just a tad bit different approach that Pat's team does, in the sense that, because I actually started off in the Mike Ferry system. That was like all that I did initially. And I, after reading the Red Book, where you got the MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, I actually took from that lead generation is actually more than prospecting to me. This is my personal opinion of that. So the way we have structured our business is prospecting based, but marketing enhanced. And you'll see that in the place. I can't be the other way, in my opinion. It can't be the other way around because I don't have the kind of money to make it marketing based and prospecting enhanced. So the prospecting and everything else that like Tracy and Patrick's team are doing, now in my opinion, you also have to have some types of marketing on top of it. So as you guys see, you might have seen a video or two of mine, or you may have seen a
Expand on
Facebook
that.
post.
I mean, I know you got a strong emphasis on your marketing and your videos. Expand on that for folks.
Well, here's the thing, is that you figure that you can reach more people. Like, for instance, if you're able to sit in front of 10 people and you're able to prospect, lead generate, you're able to get your message out. Do you think that it may be a tad bit more effective than to actually have to meet with 10 different people each time? Of course it is. So if I can put my message out there to hopefully hundreds of people or thousands of people at a given time, obviously it's going to increase my marketability, people recognizing me, and then as I follow up with phone calls, et cetera, it's a different conversation that I have to have with a potential client than it is if it's just 100% cold. I would like to try to position myself almost as a celebrity status, although obviously that's not what I am, but to someone else that may look at you and say, oh, hey, you're the YouTube guy, which I've had somebody say to me. Or will call me up and say, hey, you know what, we're calling you to list. We watched all of your videos on short sales. So, to hear something like that, and then I have to ask you, for those of you that maybe, were like me and are kind of like broke, either broke now, broke once, or probably be broke again, whatever the case may be, it's free to do these types of activities. And those are activities that were not available for me when I first started 25 years ago. Did I answer the question? Or I go like way over time?
Elgin, in your regular prospecting, do you include regular calls?
Yes.
Like expireds, FSBOs, NODs, stuff like that, when you're making your phone calls?
Yes. Now I built my business cold calling. So I right now, I'd be lying to tell you that I would cold call. But what I did learn to do was, I learned a long time ago to try to stay in touch with your past clients. And I learned a long time ago that it's easier to continuously work from people that already know you and love you and have done business with you, and to work through their spirit and to always recreating the wheel. So for myself, after been doing this a long time, the calls that I'll make in the morning, a lot of them are into my database. A lot of them are into people that I've either already known and are asking them for people that they know. Then from there, as far as the NOD stuff, I do an awful lot of short sales, obviously. But I have been able to find that I would ask you guys, for those of you who have ever sold a home in the last, say, couple of years or so, odds are you have a seller that's in a short sale position. Or you've probably sold a home to someone that is struggling or that needs help. But they're not going to necessarily call you. They're not going to call you because they're embarrassed. They're not going to call you because they don't know who or what to say. They don't know how to reach out. So in my opinion, it's my job to reach out to those people that I already know and to ask them what I can do to not only help them, but what can I do to help someone else that they know. That's the approach that I take.
I wanted to interject a little bit, kind of like with Elgin and Tracy, and just some of like the Mike Ferry concept, or different time of content management, whatever you're doing. But like what they're like within Keller Williams, you have what they call the have-nots and the have-nots. And until you really gone through enough of the numbers of the have-nots to turn them into have-nots, and that takes a lot of what we talk about is planting the seeds, planting, cultivating, cultivating the relationship, so that when the time when they're ready to buy something or sell something, it's time for you to reap the harvest. So for us, it goes to a simple farm analogy: to plant, to cultivate, the harvest. So then I'd beg you to ask yourself the simple question: are you planting enough seeds? Are you doing enough lead generation to be cultivating enough relationships? So that when you're looking forward, forget backward. If you're looking forward for where you want to be in your business, is it 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? Have you planted, cultivated enough relationships so that when it's your time to reap the harvest, is it going to take you where you want to be? Now you've already heard, like again, Elgin, the relationships are getting real good, mastering the videos, mastering the marketing of that. And then Tracy, I'm going to say for no other reason, I would say it was the timing of the person who delivered it that suddenly made a big concept. And here's what I want you to understand and appreciate. Some of those tapes, some of those training things that she's talking about, they're on cassette tapes. No CDs. No MP3s. No, they were on cassette tapes. So guess what you had to go buy? Cassette player. I mean, literally, just going through them, and they've been sitting there forever, but something changed in the delivery. Something changed in when she was talking to the Oscar and the Taylors. Something changed. Something clicked. And suddenly it was worth it. Suddenly something just made a little bit more of a message. Something happened. That energy. That little boom. And I'm telling you, you see it happening in people, and hopefully something clicks. Or something, enough of just getting by. Enough of just winging it. Enough of just squeaking by and saying, I got $1 to my name when I'm done paying everything. Enough! And that's why these folks, some are hopefully something clicks, just a little bit different. You hear a couple different little perspectives. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter who, just find it. Find it and pay the price, because you've heard 2 individuals here that are basically saying 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. 3 hours a day from Elgin, 5 days a week, and we can't get it done in the morning, he's doing it in the afternoon. Whatever, he's going to make it happen. He's going to get it done. Tracy, same way. So now we're going to go to Mr. Vau.
Whoa.
What's up?
What's up? All right,
how are you doing?
These guys have got me so fired up. So before I go on to my part, is what I'd like you guys to do, whether you guys got an iPad, a smartphone, or a pad of paper and pen, please just trust me and do this. Write down, I'm not going to start talking until you guys write down, at the very top of your notepad, or your iPad or smartphone, trust me, I promise to myself, I will apply just one, you guys, one thing that you heard today to do it before Friday at noon. It's not too long to write. I promise to myself, you can't let down any more than yourself. I promise to myself I will apply one of these tools or one of these things in my real estate business by Friday by noon. Because if you don't do it by Friday by noon, everything you did, it's gone. No matter how great it was, it'll be gone. Okay, I'm back.
Oh, we love it. Again, that's awesome. So how often do you prospect? What's your
I don't prospect. Just joking. Well, see, we got really the energy came over. It's about 3 days.
We haven't paid that insurance yet. Hold on.
No. 3 days a week. It's about an hour. But I'm really focused on my hour. I really don't let anything interrupt. Tanya will agree to that I try to really sit down the time blocking, but it's really difficult, as we all know. I think once we admit that, you probably look up here and go, oh, these guys must be perfect. If these 2 won't admit it, then I will. It is a nightmare, literally. But you ready for this? I love what I do. I'm like the luckiest businessman. I love real estate. It's a passion, and it's still a nightmare. I have to push every time of phone calls I get in, emails I get in, Facebook messages I get in. It's nuts. But you guys, you have to be determined to at least, I want to inspire you. This is amazing. But not all of you are going to be able to do that. How about 1 hour? 1 hour, 3 days a week that you time block, 9 to 10. Kids are dropped off at school, or 4 to 5 before the husband comes home. Whatever it is, block 1 hour a day, 3 times a week. That would be the goal I'd set if you guys are all on my team. Okay, now here's where I believe in prospecting. I believe there's business prospecting, and I believe there's pleasure prospecting. Business prospecting is pretty obvious. We all agree? Now here's something I see most of you guys not doing. It's the pleasure prospecting, and I'll give a quick example. I'm selling a wine bistro bar, and I needed one other investor to come on to make this thing happen. Happened to go to a dinner engagement with another agent. We're all sitting there. The agent's been going to this restaurant for 4 years, knew the owner personally, and we're talking about this wine bar. He ends up leaving. I talked to the owner. Have you ever thought about expanding? His answer was yes, introduced me to his other partner, and I possibly got my other partner for the wine bar to be sold, which is like $500,000. So another example on that, on pleasure prospecting, you guys, it's right in front of you. If you say it's hard, I would be like shocked. If you go to happy hour, all the alcoholics, raise your hand. Okay, you guys start enjoying what you guys have as a job. Or maybe stop calling it a job. Start calling it something you enjoy that you make a living on. So what I would say on the prospecting is when you go to dinner, breakfast, lunch, Disneyland, wherever you're at, be proud, always have your cards and say, hey, you guys know what the interest rate, what's going on? And all of a sudden you got their attention. I just think a lot of us make it way too complicated. And I'll tell you what, real estate is right now the talk of everyone's conversation. You guys just aren't talking. Okay, I love you. Peace out.
Okay, so again, this is more about lead conversion, but I thought it was very, very important based upon some of the questions that we also received from you that we understand you have no leads to convert if you're not doing what? Lead generation, right?
Right.
And you've already kind of tasted a couple different concepts, a couple different flavors, a couple different ways. Now, Brandon did a class more about the lead generation. I think it was like a week ago. But again, you got to pick your way that you're going to focus on trying to build your business. If it's for sale by owners, notice of defaults, what are you going to do? Is it going to be prospecting through door knocking? Are you going to build a neighborhood farm? But that's not really what we're here about today. But you got to find something so you can start nurturing a lot of relationships. You guys get that? Because this is a relationship-based building business. Okay? And that's where the Elgin is talking about. I mean, you start building those relationships and you become the professional. And he's talking about being the YouTube guy. Well, it's no different than Coca-Cola. You want to be the brand. You want to be the person so when some individual that you're developing that relationship with, and you've done a lot of cultivating of that relationship, when they think about real estate, you want to be Coca-Cola. You want to be the only brand they think about. You want to be the one they say, oh, Lake Shores, Paula J. Wright. Why? Because she owns it. That's the way you want to happen. Well, you've got to develop that relationship. You've got to be the person they're thinking about. You've got to be, whatever you're trying to nurture those relationships, you have to be Coca-Cola. You have to be the brand. And for you to have the level of success you want, like Elgin and Sean and Tracy, you need to make sure you're the first one they think about. They're going in that refrigerator and grabbing for a real estate professional. Karen Farmerlow, that's who they want. Carlos Beltran, that's who they want. That's who they want to pull out. That's who they're calling for. You got to start working on that. The only way that happens, I don't care if you're hitting 100 doors a day. I don't care if you're making 3 hours of phone calls. I don't care if it's about the YouTube videos. If it's a business concept, pleasure concept, the point is you have to be who they think about. You have to be somewhere in that subconscious mind because you've done enough that you're the one they're thinking about when it's time from the lead generation to go to lead conversion. Fair enough? Pay the price. Doesn't stop. Contact sport. You're going to get bloody noses. It's going to happen. You're going to have the people, the family, friends, or relatives. They'll list the house without you. Was it?
You have something to say?
Sir.
I was just waiting until you backed up and you can see. One thing I would like to say too is as Pat actually put on, when you start talking about haves and have-it mets, is that, in my opinion, one thing that's important is what do you actually classify as a have-met. And to me, a have-met, the perfect example of a have-met is what my mom would say about me. If you ask my mom, what's his name? That's my son, Elgin Walker. What does he do? He sells real estate. You want to buy a house? Do you need to sell a house? That is a have-met. Okay? That is a have-met. Now, I actually have a third category, which is a little bit different. Now, that third category is, what about that cleaners that you go to and you've been going to for the last 5 years, and when the person sees you, they know who you are. You guys smile, you do pleasantries. You go to the same restaurants. You guys know I go to Lazy Dog. You do whatever you do. And there are people there that know you, right? They know you. Now, what happens if someone happened to be in line after I get out the way and the person says, hey, that guy looks really familiar. What's his name? And what if the person says, you know what? They've been coming. I can't think of his name right now. Or they say, hey, that's Elgin. You know, what is it he does again for a living? And they can't tell you. Now, is that person really a half-met? I mean, you do know him, right? But see, I actually call that a half-met under construction. And what I mean, though, is You need to take your half-mets that are under construction. These are people that you know. These are people that you know, but they don't really know you. You want to turn those people into advocates yourself. And that falls right in place to what Sean is saying, when he called it a pleasure, like almost like a pleasure principle. It doesn't really matter what you call it, but you run into people every day. Also, for those of you, that have kids that are into sports, that are into acting, that are into music, all that type of stuff, listen, that's a circle. Those are people that you need to be reaching out to. Those are people that are in your sphere of influence. Those are people that if you ignore those people, you're ignoring just a huge database of people that already know you and love you and would do business with you if you were to ask. Okay, that's enough.
Very good. Very good. Now, let me just ask you, so far, how's this working out? You guys like this? Yes. Is that different here from different folks here? Because I wanted to go back as far as now what Elgin was talking about and then what Sean was talking about as far as the pleasure networking, in construction. The point is you're building these relationships. And I also wanted to go back to something that Sean shared about, you know what, you're here a 3 hour, 1 hour. Folks, it all starts with one. Start with 1 hour. If that's where you're going to start, because now we're going to get into that conversion, and what you're going to come to realize from some folks, I'm thinking most of you, is when they start on those phone calls and they're starting that conversion and they're following up with those leads, there's probably some kind of ritual. There's something you're doing to get in the right mindset to put yourself to have the best opportunity to convert that lead. You guys know what I'm talking about? Elgin mentioned sports. I mean, they don't typically, most athletes, they're not just jumping on the field without stretching out or something. They're getting themselves in the right mindset to perform at their optimum. So I'm going to start with Tracy. Now you're doing some follow-up phone calls with some leads they've called. They've called something. They followed up on us from the marketing, the book, the magazine. Is there something you're doing to get yourself in the right frame of mind before you pick up that phone?
Well, if it's that type of lead, I make sure that I have all my notes in front of me and I know what I'm talking about and what they're calling about. But if I'm calling like for sale by owners and expireds, the ones that scare me the most is I put on my iTunes and I have a library just of prospecting songs and I have that playing. I have a recorder. I record myself and I've recorded myself calling people, sitting down, and I've recorded myself standing up. And somebody in this office pointed out to me that there's a huge difference in how it sounds. So now I try my best to stand up when I call. I have more energy. I sound more friendly. I also put a mirror up in my office so I can watch myself when I'm calling, and I have a note there that says if this was easy, everyone would be doing it, because it's not easy calling for sale by owners and expired. So for that, that's the type of ritual that I have to do to be in the right frame of mind. Calling people that I already know that I've developed a relationship with is a lot easier to pick up the phone. It's not as heavy to pick it up.
Okay, great. How about you, Elgin?
Do you have a question?
Yeah, just on the leads, when people are calling you, I'd like to know what kind of sheet you've developed. Is that something we have on the system? I know there's something on there. Because we just done mailing, so that's our thing. It's like, okay, we don't want to be afraid for the phone ring. We want to convert that and be excited.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start passing. I'm going to interject before Elgin goes here, because I think it's a good time to segue in a part here as far as, like, let's say we're calling and it's something to do with seller. So what we're going to pass out now, and again, I'm in no way, shape, or form going to say that ours is the best seller's questionnaire on the market. I know Keller Williams has some. So what we basically have done over the years is we've revised a multitude of different sellers' questionnaires trying to get to the bottom line of some of the information that we need. Because when we're trying to convert the lead, I'm going back to the one. I believe you have one chance to make a lasting impression. Does most of you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So I don't care how many years you've been in the business, and if you went to my office right now, you'll find 2 little plastic laminated title sheets with a clip on the top. One's a seller profile questionnaire, one's a buyer profile questionnaire, because I'm not going to leave it to chance. Okay? And I know if that phone call comes through and it's our lead generation number, that it's either a seller or a buyer. So guess what? I'm not going to leave it to chance. I'm going to have, this is the seller profile questionnaire, and guess what? You could probably find one a lot better. The point is, you have something. And if you do have something, fabulous. And what do you have to do to make it yours? And then make it yours. And then, as far as practicing and drilling and rehearsing, and why is it important to have that information? Why do I need to know about the first loan, the second loan, the third loan, the payments, and all that? Because I'm gathering information, and I'm also taking a lot of notes. And that's one of the things we all go by. Like Elgin mentions Mike Ferry. We go right back to Mike Ferry. I think a couple other people here did way before a lot of this other training came on board. And to say it was a little bit more black and white, a little bit more just brutal and do the numbers, it was. And it's kind of been refined and massaged. But that's our seller's questionnaire. And can you get better? Absolutely. But you gather enough of that information there and you're getting for the appointment, guess what? You get through those questions somewhere in the conversation, and I just want to reiterate something real quick, just so you know. It's not like you go, oh, by the way, your name's Elgin. So Elgin, where are you moving to? And I give you that information. And I go, number 2, what is the reason for your relocating? Oh, wait, number 3, how soon would you like to complete your move? It doesn't work that way. You guys get it? I mean, some of you are laughing, but it doesn't work that way. You work these questions within your conversation. Somewhere it's going to come up. Somewhere something's going to be said, and that's when you start gathering that information. Everyone up here is nodding their head. We wish it was that easy. Okay? We wish it was that easy, but it's not.
Yeah, because sometimes they are the one who asks questions like, why are you calling me? What do you get my phone number? So you have to
Well, we'll deal with that too as far as how'd you get my number. But the point is, it doesn't just go 1 through 7 or whatever. And when they give you information, as far as, oh, I can't talk right now, child's sick. Oh, what's your child's name? How old is your child? Anything and everything, you're trying to make a connection. And I can't tell you how many times, especially here in the bullpen area, where you hear people in conversations and they know what you're trying to do. You're trying to plant those seeds to create a relationship. And one of the greatest clients I ever had was a fire captain, and there's only one reason I got him. And I finally told him about 15 years later. The first time I made contact with him through another referral, he was on his way to a vet because his dog had just swallowed some poison and was about to die. Do you think I remembered the name of the dog off the top of my head? No, I didn't. But I wrote notes down. I mean, he was one of 300, 400, 500 calls in that week. But then he went in my file way before the computers and said I was going to follow up with him a week from that Monday. And there went my index cards, back into my index card file, and I followed up with him. And he followed up with the name of the dog. By the way, how's your dog that swallowed that poison? It blew him away that I remembered that he couldn't talk to me because he had to run with his dog to go to the vets, and yes, his dog's fine. He had to spend $2,000, blah, blah. The point was, you stood out just a little bit more instead of just being a what? A salesperson. You were doing the social networking. You know, you were planting that seed about, under construction. So that when they had a need, we were there. They needed to buy something, Coca-Cola. They need to sell something till this day. But you've got to nurture those relationships. And I said that. Elgin, you're up. Where are we?
What do I say? Okay, well, mindset. I think mindset is very important. And earlier in my career, I was really good at this. And as I've gotten later in my career, I had not been as good as I was starting. So I made a commitment this year to really get back into certain things with my mindset. Like I listen to Think and Grow Rich. Like I don't read as much as I used to because I don't see as well as I used to. So it's not as pleasurable. But I will listen to these things on tape. Very similar as what Tracy's doing. In the background, I have motivational stuff going. But most of you guys aren't here at the time I get into the office. So generally, though, every day I have affirmations that I say to myself. Affirmations I say to get myself and my mindset ready for the day. Like for myself, I love and honor by God first in my life. I'm a good, honest person. I work efficiently, effectively, and with integrity. I honor my family. I keep them as a priority in my life. I list homes and sell homes consistently every month. I love selling real estate. I help families achieve their goals. I call my leads with consistency. I always ask for the appointment. I follow my schedule each and every day. One signed buyer or seller contract per week is my minimum standard. You think I've said that before? I said it on a consistent basis, but that puts me, at least puts me in the that's my why. You see, I tell you about my family and about God. What I'm trying to accomplish is that is with clients, you know, and I'm really trying to help people. And, you know, the mindset, the fact is for it's my business, I need a contract signed. You know, I can just not, you know, if you work for, as a salesperson or something, for somebody else who's paying you, the deal is you have to get a deal. And if you don't get a deal, you get fired. So, you know, I can't really fire myself, so it means I've got to perform. But that's what I do. I get myself, I used to do scripts and dialogues as far as practicing. I personally don't do that anymore only because I have internalized them for so long. There's very few, the objections haven't changed in 25 years. So there's very few things that you're going to be able to ask me. Even if you were to ask me right now, that I would not be able to respond to you about. But for those of you that can't do that yet, you need to practice your scripts and dialogues as well, so that when you're on the phone and you're talking to people or you're in settings like when Sean's in, you need to have a response when somebody says something to you. To not be able to respond is just not good enough. And to understand that when people are giving you an objection or whatever, they're pretty much deciding on whether or not you're good enough to work with them. Remember, their job is to try to figure out whether or not you're the person to help represent them or not. Your job is to show them that you are. Everybody's got a job to do. They're for sale by owner, they're expired. They're doing their job is to why they won't list with you. Your job is to show them why they should.
Mine's so beautiful. John, what do you do?
I think for myself that I've watched over the years is I think the biggest thing, the scripting's really awesome. The dialogue of what you're going to say and feel comfortable. The pacing, I'm a pacer. If you guys all see me pacing around the building, I'm sure you guys have all seen me. I cannot talk sitting down. This is really difficult right now, but I'm doing it for you guys.
Stand up, baby.
All right. Okay. So seriously, hey, he gave me permission. Are you okay with it?
We're good.
All right, we're good. All right. I would seriously say the biggest thing for me is organization. And I think that is the biggest key, not the most important, but I really believe you can do the scripts all you want. You guys can have this perfect dialogue all you want. But if you guys don't have some type of routine of organization in your life, personally and professionally, none of this stuff matters. None of it, if you don't get organized. So whether you wake up and you got your hot tea, so my ritual is really simple. Hot tea, I close the door, I breathe in, straighten my jacket up, make sure I got all my stuff off my desk, it's all filed away, it's clean, I'm ready for any question to be thrown out to me. But my desk, my computer, all my stuff on my computer, it's all down. My radio, my radio's off. I don't need, it's my client, my attention on the client. Hear them, be the best listener. So to me, humbly, my best advice is get more organized. Because if you're messed up around you, of course you're going to get thrown off, right? It's going to be an easy question. As soon as the person hangs up, you're like, oh my God, what did I say to that person? Because you got a clutter bug around you. I walk around, won't say anything, but I walk around and see some of your guys' offices. I don't know how you guys even run your business. I'm sorry. I mean, it's usually what your environment is what you're going to get out of your own environment, is what you're going to get back to people. So my thing on really getting down to a mindset is getting you organized and start with there. Just start with the baby stuff, you guys. All the rest of the stuff will come. I'll sit down now.
But again, kind of a different butter. You guys agree with that? Okay, some of us got. Okay, I have to have some noise in the background. I must have noise in the background. If it's dead quiet, I can't even operate. And it probably drives you a little. I have to have something going on in the background. It just helps me focus, different. And that's why part of this panel, everyone has a slightly different way that you operate. That's why this panel's here. Everyone's going to relate a little bit differently to a Sean, an Elgin, a Tracy, just slightly different. What works for you? What works for you? What's going to make you be willing to pay the price?
Ooh.
What is it? What is it? Figure it out. Forward, window, mirrors this big, windows this big. Let's go forward. Let's not look back. What are you going to do? What are you going to implement? What is that, like Sean said, what is that one thing you're going to take from here by Friday, implement to help put you on a new path? Something's got to click. Now, we're going to go on the next step, but I want to pass this out now because I know some of you are asking. Now, this is our buyer questionnaire. And for some of you that are way deep into Keller Williams right now, Keller Williams, this is going to blow you away because it's such a simple little buyer profile questionnaire. We have the 3-pager. We have a 5-pager if you have ranches. You have the horse property 5-pager buyer profile questionnaire. We got the 2-pager. That's the one we use 99.9% of the time now. That's it. Very, very basic. And again, if you went, I have a blank clip on my buyer profile questionnaire. That's it. Clip, seller profile questionnaire. So in other words, you can get it crazy, as technical, as whatever you want. But from a different perspective from every one of them, it's KISS, keep it simple, silly. How's that? Keep it simple, silly. Just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Find what works for you. Find what gets you in the mindset so that you're willing to pay the price to do what you need to do to lead generate, so that you're also willing to do what you have to do to have a higher conversion ratio. Fair enough? That's kind of where we're at. All right. Anybody? Input? Where we're at? Come on, someone's got to have some input. Tracy? No? John? Stand up.
Okay.
You're ready to rock. I can tell. I can tell.
Well, just not to pick on anybody, but how many here actually really thought they were going to leave in the next 10 minutes with something magical to start their whole business on fire? Just be honest. Okay. You guys, it is here. It's here. And if you guys have any questions, we are here for you guys. Please, we are a family. We're a network. It's an amazing...
But honestly, y'all are here for them.
But I just want to add that because what Patrick said was amazing, but just please, I saw a few of you guys just watching you. I'm just really big on body language. There is something magical here, and it may just be for some of you, just this buyer sheet. It may be some of you just the seller sheet. Just what I said, just don't overload. Grab one thing. If it's the buyer sheet, I'll be happy if one of you guys calls me Thursday or Friday before 12 o'clock and say, Sean, I did the one thing. I got a buyer and I used Patrick Lopez's team's sheet and it helped me and I got organized and it's in a folder and it says buyer. Start with that. Okay, I'll sit down.
Anything you want to interject, Gerald?
I've gotten, now I am a clutter bug. But
When you guys weren't looking, he kicked me when I said that.
No, but I do a lot of stuff automated. So I would also tell you that you do need some systems of some sort. And for those of you who've taken the disc profile, you know what that is. I'm a high D. High D meaning that I kind of like, I'm the kind of guy that jumps in the water and I'll figure out the temperature when I get in. Now, for some cases that's great. For some, it may not be. But one thing that I do is I don't put them on notes anymore like this because I'm a clutter bug. But I will put them directly into my computer. I'll put them right into my contact manager program. So I would also tell you, particularly for follow-up purposes, like you heard Patrick mention about index cards. We didn't have, computers like that when we first started. So you had index cards and notebooks and things like that. But now that you have some of these things that are available for you, I would also tell you to do that and put it into something that automates you, where all you have to do is do what your system tells you to do. Your system tells you to call today, you call. Your system tells you to write a note today, you write. Make it as simple on yourself as you can. And ask a lot of questions of people. You'll be surprised if you ask more questions instead of trying to tell everybody what all you know. You know, remember, they don't care. They don't really care what you know. They want to know that you care. And the way they feel that they know that you care is if they're doing more talking. How are they doing more talking? You're asking more questions. And what you'll hear people up here say, open questions. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Something that you just can't say yes or no to. You know, somebody asks you, how you doing? You can't say yes or no. You have to say something with that. So your questions, and you'll see the stuff that they're asking on their questionnaires, are all geared to have a conversation. And when people can have a conversation with you, they feel that they know you and they connect with you. And it is much easier to work with them beyond.
Now that's almost a perfect segue into something, Tracy, as far as where we evolved to as far as with our lead systems and our tracking systems. Because again, it's going to be a little different. Because I would say at one point we were where everything's going into the computer, every single solitary thing. If we had a phone number breed, gone into the computer, in our database management system. I would venture to say ours has changed a little bit. Want to share that?
Sure. If you haven't noticed, I'm the OCD of the bunch here. But we actually do the seller questionnaire, and we know pretty quickly whether or not it's someone that's going to be part of our database. Based on questions, based on responses, based on their willingness to provide information, to get pre-approved, things of that nature. So if they are somebody that we are going to go forward with, and they do go into our top producer. If it's somebody that we're not sure of, then we'll keep calling until we can define whether or not they're actually somebody that we are going to be working with. Once we get a lead, what we do, this is our seller and buyer leads. We continually follow up, and on our sheets we are constantly writing down all of the times we've called. This is all the dates, and we keep track of it. The pink notes for me are the ones that are the hot leads. I don't have one of these, so I do everything by paper, and then if they're good to go, then we put them in top producer, and that's how we stay in touch with them. I would say, like Elgin was saying, you call and then you do a note and then you do all of that. What we have is a lead sheet that's constantly updated. This is just for this week. The leads that we have to contact this week. And if there's a new one that we get, I add them to the list and I reprint it. But it's color-coded for me, so I know exactly what I need to do. If I need to call, send a note, send an email. I'm a firm believer right now, because, especially with the buyers, that they feel that there's not enough inventory out there, that it's very easy to lose your buyer. So that's why I feel constantly calling them, touching them, sending them an email, sending them a note card. And I put together a list in Patrick's agenda of all the different reasons you could call. You can always come up with something, some reason to call somebody, but you just want them to know that you're there for them. So that's how we track everything. Yeah, that's how we do it.
Yeah, but again, a little different. I mean, and again, at one point, we were in the frame of mind of taking the time and the effort to put every single lead into the system, into whatever system you're using. And what we basically found, which works best for us, as we were generating X amount of leads, because we were starting to get overwhelmed, that it was taking quite a bit of time to just put them in top producer, whatever software you're using. And so many of them, what we came to realize, were dead on arrival. There's nothing there. Okay? And I would venture to say this is a simple yes or no question. Have you ever fired a client?
Yeah.
Fired a client?
Yes.
Fired a client? Again, so what the point we're trying to make there is, you know what? We want to get so busy. You're shaking your head, April, but we want to get so busy with so many good quality leads that they go through our filter. And if that's the way we decided to filter them at this point, and maybe it's more old school, but that's what works right now. We're old school, kind of more the paper, so you're going through them, and you're looking at your little mini notes on there. It doesn't have an iPad yet. Stay tuned, from what I hear. But that's the system that works for her. I would venture to say it might be a system that works from other folks too. And then if you find out that they're just not returning your phone call, and you see her little notes there, it's just calling 10, 15, 20 times, and they just tell you blank, guess what? Rip it out, throw it away, we're done, we're moving on. We just know we have X amount of leads, buyer side, seller side, and that's how we focus. And she has her sheet of all the leads that she has to follow on that giving day and where it has to start and what's appropriate. Is it a card? Is it a letter? Is it an email drip? What's going on? Because that sheet is like our hot leads of the week. Those are our hot leads. And that's how, to date, we have 17 escrows to date. It's changed dramatically.
I just wanted to say, you don't have to have all this stuff, just call, just talk to people.
Yeah.
I think that was my big thing, my big aha last year was, oh, I'm just gonna get organized and I'm gonna know my scripts and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and it was always ready, set, nothing. And the main thing is just do it. Doesn't matter, figure it out later, figure out how you're gonna track it. If it's having a notebook, a 3-binder notebook, and you're handwriting everything, it doesn't matter.
What works for you?
Just works for you, just keep talking to people.
Like, pretty clear, Sean is, in order to get in his right frame of mind, I got a better idea what his disc profile is now. But literally, he has to be completely 100% organized and feel like I'm ready to jump and ready to rock and roll. A little bit different than Elgin. A little bit different than me. I need static. It could be static, but I have to have some background noise. A little bit different than Tracy, but that's what works for you. Okay? All right, anyone want to interject anymore? So you're writing a note down? You good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm good now.
Okay, 2 o'clock.
Does anyone have a question?
Okay, so I'm going to ask this question. We're going to speed it up a little bit. If you don't have a lead that is ready to do something in 30 days, what do you do with that lead to keep them engaged? Sean?
Actually, I think Tracy nailed it. I mean, couldn't say any better, is if you got a lead, you should kind of know where it's at, of how hot it is. I usually do from 1 to 10, 10 being, oh my God. So obviously, if they're not ready yet, it's in 30 days. I just, like, once a week, I'm trying to become that, no offense, car salesperson to anybody. But what I do try to do, just once a week, I'll just send, like, a nice little email or just a quick little, now in texting. Just want to say hi, I know you're not ready yet, but I got some new inventory that's coming up. Maybe next couple of weeks we can talk about it. Hey, interest rate's now 3.95. I know that the house you're looking for is around 210. Good note taking. That'd be a payment of $11.89. Just thought I'd throw it out to you. It's that little stuff of just engaging. And again, the one word I hope you get from me is just simple. Just keep it simple. What Patrick said is the biggest thing how I got really my start in real estate was just trying to keep it as simple as I could, and that'd be my 30 days. It's just keeping in touch until that time.
Alden?
I put them in, I put everybody in the contact manager program. I've set up in my contact manager program different action plans. And depending upon what type of a client it is, I tend to do the action plans more by email if they're not as hot. It also depends upon where the lead comes from. The lead comes from the internet, and you know that the lead is a buyer. Statistics say that they're generally somewhere around 16, 18 months or so out before they make purchase. So you have to stay in touch with them that way. And then part of my follow-up system is to just call. I write a lot of personal notes. I send out that the On Me stuff. You guys have seen the On Me campaign where it's like $20, but you can send coupons to people. So I actually, a lot of people just put them on in there. I actually cut the coupons out. When I write a personal note, I stick the coupons in there. So that's, that, and you just put them in my system and not forget about them. Just call them, but obviously the ones that are hotter, you call them more often. The ones that are not, it's an every now and then call.
Okay, I think Tracy kind of already answered this, so I'm going to go move on to a couple more questions to try to stay time sensitive for everyone. So I'm going to give you 2 parts here, and I'm going to start with Sean again. Sean, it's a 2-part question basically. What keeps you going, and how important is it to you, in your opinion, to stay learning based?
Well, I would say the biggest reason for me to keep motivated every single day that I wake up is I love what I do. And I have a plan of attack the night before of what I'm going to do the following day. So when I wake up, it's not like, what do I got to do today? What time should I get to the office? It's, got a time block the best that I can. Things get interrupted. But bottom line is, guys, is know what you're going to do the day, at least the night before. Kind of have like an outline, from I'm going to wake up, drop the kids off, you know, from 9 to 10 is going to be organizing my messy office. I love you, brother. Then 10:30 to 11 is a little snack, yogurt and, you know, peanuts or whatever. But the second question was,
how important is it to you to remain learning based?
oh my God, woo! I should not. Okay, stand up. That one is probably my most biggest prideful one. Is when people ask me, how do I have some of the clients I do? Because you guys know I have an office in Hawaii too, and it's because I'm learning every single day. 19 years in the business, I learned 2 things last night from another agent that's only a year in the business. Every day you guys should be excited about learning something new, because this market, this world is changing every second. And if you guys just keep back in the old days or your new days, keep fresh and alive, guys, because it'll keep you spunky, it'll keep you excited about the most incredible industry, I believe, in the world. I'll sit down again. Okay.
Sir Elgin, what keeps you going?
My biggest why is my family. It's always been my biggest why, my wife and kids. And I also feel that I feel that I don't want to say use the word religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I believe that at least God gives each of us talents, and you have a purpose, and I do not want to let God down. So my whys are my family and God. As far as staying learning based, again, I've been doing this 25 years, so I still remember when you could not accept an offer from a fax machine. I still remember when a lockbox was that. It was a lockbox, and there was a key that you put in it. I still remember that when you got on the computer, when you guys are taking it for granted that you can just type in a couple of cities and this, that, the other. We had to type like ACT semicolon, SLD semicolon. We have to learn a freaking program just to use the computer. So, if you were not learning based, you couldn't survive. There are not a lot of people that have survived at the level, or whatever the level is that you feel that I am at, for the amount of time that I've been doing this. And I've been very consistent. You know, I really have not had years to where I made $1 quadrillion and years as I've made $1. I've kind of been that even guy, and I try not to let the highs get too high, and try not to get the lows get too low, and just kind of roll with it. I just kind of think if you're not learning, you're dying, man. You got to always be learning.
Yeah.
Tracy, what keeps you going?
What keeps me going is I'm a single mom, and I have 2 kids that I love and I'm very responsible for, and I want to provide for them. I'm also probably my biggest competition is I want to keep doing better and keep getting better. And I'm probably a little too hard on myself, but that's what keeps me going. And then this is the only market I've ever known. So before I started at Keller Williams, for several years, I was a stay-at-home mom. I literally just ate all day and watched Oprah. And now it's like this is all that I know. So I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly learning, you know, our craft. That's what it is. You have to know what you're doing.
Okay, so for everyone there, it seems like staying learning based is extremely important, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So what do you guys think? How did they do? Well, again, out of respect for everyone's time, we're going to wrap this up right now. But here's what I want to try to interject. For anyone who took the time to be here today and invest in yourself, I hope you found something of value. I hope you found something that just might turn the light on just a little brighter. Because I do believe something that they've all kind of shared is, as far as in maybe different words, but depending upon where we find you here today, depending upon how open you are to information, if it's about one single solitary thing, like Sean said, or some other people inject in different ways, this could be the start of a whole new real estate career. It can get you going. Something can turn you on, turn the light on. Change what you're doing today. Decide you're going to pay the price just a little bit more. Just turn it up a notch. I mean, most of us here would love to have 48 transactions in a year. Yes? Yes? That'd be pretty good?
Yes.
17 year to date. Sean's the mindset. I mean, but just it's just turning it up just a little bit. Not much. If you go get a job, you got to supposedly be on task for 8 hours a day. They were telling you, give us our best from 1 hour to 3 hours and do what we all have to do to lead generate. Take advantage of some of these things from the buyer's questionnaire, the seller's questionnaire, whatever, to what? To offer more value so that when they're calling you, you're knowing how to interject these questions so they can show, why do they need you? Why are you different? Why is that person why are they going to work with you? What are you going to do enough in that relationship that you become for them, and whether it's today or 6 months from now or a year from now? Because I venture to say, do most of you still plan to be in the business 1 year from now? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So if you're buying a house 1 month from now or a year from now, you want to have enough leads so what? You don't care. Because if you're still planning to be in the business a year from now, and it's March 2014, and you need 3 transactions to accomplish your goals and your dreams for your family. If you're planting, cultivating, nurturing, harvesting March 2014, then you only need 2 more to make sure that's a successful March 2014. You guys with me?
Yes.
So if your goal is to be in this business long term, any term, you need to generate enough leads so it doesn't matter when. You need to make sure that when it happens, you're the one they think about. You're the one that they say, I need to pick up the phone. I need to pick up the phone, I need to call Sean. I need to call Elgin. I need to call Tracy because now's the time. Now's the time that I need their help to buy, to sell, to help me with a loan, whatever it is, but you have to be the brand they're thinking about. So with that, I please help me give it one more time for this incredible panel. I wish to thank you all for your time, and again, we'll be staying.